Hello, welcome to the latest webinar from Tag Digital. Today we're going to be discussing the digital marketing strategies for event tech. An agenda for today, we're going to give a quick introduction to Tag Digital, who we are, what we do. We'll go through the paid benefits, or the benefits of paid media. We'll talk some strategies that we've used some event tech clients in the past. We'll go over a case study that for a campaign we recently run, and then we'll discuss the platforms that you should think about using if you're putting paid media into your strategy. So just before we get started, if you've got any questions, just put these on the slide below, and we'll answer them at the end. Cool. So an introduction to Tag Digital. So we're paid marketing experts. We run campaigns specific to the event industry, and annually we do run over 100,000 campaigns per year. We are Google Premier Partners, we're Microsoft Advertising Partners, and Meta Business Partners. So what this means is we get access to any new innovations or features that get introduced to the advertising platforms. So first of all, we'll go over the benefits of paid digital marketing. So first of all, it's highly targeted. What this means is we can reach high intent users. This can be through search. So like keyword targeting, we can reach users who are actively looking for what you have to offer. They're also in market, so you'll reach them whilst they're searching for keywords that you target. So you'll get them whilst they're actually actively doing the research. On social, we have LinkedIn, where you can reach users through job titles and company names. The results are measurable, so compared to traditional advertising, we can measure the results. We have access to metrics like impressions, so this is the amount of users who have seen your ad. We can see the amount of users who have clicked your ad and then entered your website, and then we can also set up conversion tracking to be able to see how many users have clicked your ad and decide to complete the required action on your website. This can be things like booking a demo or requesting more info. You can build data, so we're able to build audiences of users who visit your website or take a specific action on your website, and even visit specific pages on your website. These audiences can then be retargeted through all digital platforms to encourage them to take more action. We can reach users at scale, so there's certain ad types for paid digital media that allows you to reach highly relevant audiences at a large scale while still being more cost effective than what you'd probably pay for traditional media. So if you think about traditional media, you target a broad audience, and you're not able to really measure how effective that audience is, and you probably pay quite a lot to reach them. On campaign ad types like Google Display Network, we can reach users at a high level, and they're all highly relevant to the industry that you operate in. And then we can stay ahead of competitors. So if you don't run paid digital ads, you risk losing out to the massive potential customers that are browsing the internet. When you think about the internet, this is where the majority of people go nowadays to get more information and discover new brands. From an agency point of view, we've run ads for event tech companies already, which means that your competitors are already doing this. Therefore, you'd benefit from doing the same. The ads that we run, they'll appear at the top of the search engine results page, which means regardless of how good your SEO is, if your competitors are running ads and they're targeting your brand keywords, then they're going to appear ahead of your organic results. So it's always best if you appear there as well. And then there's a clear return on investment. So like I can already touched on, we're able to measure the results of your campaigns. So you're able to see just how much it costs to convert a user, and just how effective your budget was for your marketing efforts. So some things to consider when running event paid digital campaigns. So first of all, objectives. This is what you want the goal of the campaign to be. This can be brand awareness that focuses on getting users to your website, letting them know more about your brand. It could also be things like book a demo, content download, or just any action in general that results in a lead. Best practices would be to run softer conversions further up the funnel. So what the funnel is, in case you haven't you're not aware, the marketing funnel is kind of almost like a funnel where it's quite wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. So you kind of target a lot of users at the top of the funnel. Not all of them will be relevant. And then the idea here is to narrow that audience and retarget them further down the funnel and get them to convert. When we think about users that are less brand aware, they'd be more inclined to download something that gives them more information, because this is when they're really at the research stage. So rather than asking them to book a demo or contact the sales team when running your campaigns, having like a case study or any piece of content that gives them more information, this is kind of the kind of conversions that you would run at that stage of your campaigns. Pacing. So for event tech campaigns, what we recommend is adopting an always on approach. So this doesn't mean that the campaigns are never ending. However, it means running them for as long as possible and continuously building data and keeping that data warm. So for example, if we generate leads, these could go into your email marketing. So the idea here is that anything we do on digital complements your other marketing efforts. So yeah, if you generate leads, these could go into your email marketing, the same way as if you had traditional marketing running where you're generating that brand awareness. The likelihood is when someone is made aware about your brand, they'll go onto Google, they'll search for your brand, and that's where it's always best to run your ads so you appear there when they search. When it comes to running the campaigns and setting your budget or the end date of your campaign, we would set this in a way that allows us to give the campaigns enough daily budget to combat both the cost per click as well as the cost per conversions. So just the best practice here is to give your campaigns enough daily budget to get results. And then creatives. So this is the visual part of your ad. The creative might vary from the platform you're using. So it should also follow the same message as your website and your ad copy. At the same time, on social advertising, your creative would need to follow the same style as the other content on that platform, just so it resonates with the audience that's there. When it comes to creatives, what we would recommend as a best practice is to refresh these creatives every 3 months just to avoid fatigue. So what this is where the audience stop responding well to the creatives or the ads because they've already seen them too many times. So this is kind of where a refresh is needed, just as a general best practice. Your copy is quite similar to your creative, so it follows the same style as a platform, but you also need to make the best use of the ad space whilst being informative. So when we think about Google, we don't have a whole lot of ad space, so it's all about getting to the point. The same on social. Nowadays, users have short attention spans, so your ad copies needs to be to the point. Ways of doing this is having clear call to actions, so make sure the user knows what action you want them to take. When we think about upper funnel, this would be things like download content, learn more, and then at more at the bottom of the funnel, it would be things like book a demo or contact the sales team. Then we would also have a unique selling point. So this is where you're kind of making sure that the ad convinces the user to click. It's where you kind of let the user know what makes you stand out from your competitors. And then just as a general best practice, don't have any long copy that puts the users off. Like we said, the attention spans are short. So if they see an ad with a lot of copy on it, they're more likely to just skip by it. The data, so this can be a list of email addresses of users who are interested in what you have to offer. At the same time, it can be data that's been built up throughout the runtime of the campaign. These can be things like website visitors, converters, as well as users who've thought about converting, but then haven't finished the lead form. The best practice is just to have as much data as possible. So the more data available, the better. We don't want to be pushing all of our budget to the same small pool of users who've already seen the ads multiple times. So yeah, general best practice there, just have as much data as possible. And then targeting. So the way we'd run the campaigns is we'd start with broad targeting initially and then work on refining this down. So the idea of broad targeting is to reach users at scale, make them aware of the brand, and then filter the ones that find that as relevant down the funnel, with the end goal of getting them to convert. So this can be through retargeting the softer converted users or users who've targeting users who have visited specific pages of the website. We can also refine our keywords to the point where we know what keywords bring in leads, and then push more budget towards these keywords to maximize results. Ultimately, the end goal is to get to the stage where the campaigns are consistently performing and making the best use of the campaign budget. Now on to strategies. So first up, the Google strategy. We start off with Google Display, and how we would run this is we start with custom intent targeting. So this is where we have custom intent keyword audiences, which would be based on users' interests or purchase intentions. So it's more broad than actual keyword targeting on search, but it's good for reaching upper funnel audiences at the awareness and consideration stage. These users could be then directed to the website with call to actions like learn more, as well as content downloads that provide more info whilst they're most likely in the research phase. Something else we've recently done for an event tech client is geofencing. So this is something we trialed recently. The idea here is that we can target a specific location with a 4 kilometer radius. What we did with one specific client was we targeted their top 50 ideal event organisers. We targeted the head offices, and the idea here was to raise some high quality awareness. That the chances of conversions for these campaign types are quite low. However, for that specific campaign, we did see conversions coming in, so it's definitely something we'd look to incorporate into all strategies for event tech campaigns. And then we'd have some ads per vertical. So this is where we get granular. We target specific users with ads and copy for each vertical or service that you offer. These would all then go to dedicated landing pages, which would then fuel your different remarketing audiences, which you could then again target those users with ads specific to what they'd already researched. Moving on to Google search. So first of all, we start off with branded search. It's always a good idea to run this campaign. It's the most likely campaign to convert. It's the very bottom stage of the funnel. So once users are made aware of the brand, they might search for this. And rather than having competitors take up the top of the results page, you'd always want your ad to be here instead. Then non-branded search. So these are users who are actively researching, and so we can target them by showing them ads for keywords that they're most likely searching for when they look for what you offer. This is similar to display. The messaging would be tailored to each vertical or service that you offer as well. And then lastly, DSA. This is where we'd run ads that use the content of your website to show ads to users who search for terms that are also relevant to the website's content. This allows us to see what other keywords outside of our research that users are using to find your website, and then these can be added to our non-branded keyword targeting. And lastly, YouTube. Similar to display, we would start off with custom intent keyword targeting. However, this works slightly different to display in that we would be able to target users who search for these keywords specifically, rather than just them showing interest on topics similar to these keywords. So it's more targeted, and we could use our best converting keywords here, as well as trialing some competitors' brand names in this targeting type. And then in regards to the video should be a good explainer video. So that uses it gives a user the detailed description of what your company offers. It would do a much better job of explaining what you offer than a display ad, and it's also the most engaging ad format. Then for social, so we'd look to split our targeting into 3 levels with different objectives to maximise our opportunity to gather data, whilst being as cost effective as possible. So firstly, at the awareness stage, we'd look to introduce the product. We'd ideally here use video to warm and start to build an audience. Typically, the campaign type we'd use would be a video views audience with different levels of completion. Then we'd move on to the consideration phase. So this is where we target users who are familiar with the product or products like it. Here we could target traffic as the objective, or a softer objective like view content. This is where you start to see some conversions, but the main objective is still to build data so that we can target these at our final stage. And that final stage is the conversion stage. So this is where everything should be focused on getting conversions. At this point, we should be in a position where we can be more granular with our targeting and our messaging, but very much focused on getting people to actually take that action that you want. So for a case study, before we get started, the full case study here will be available. It will be shared in the follow-up emails with a full breakdown of strategy and insight into how we achieved the results. So the case study we're talking about here is for Gravitate. We worked with them for 3 months between April and June 2023. So who are Gravitate? They are an event tech company who specialise in providing cutting-edge software and solutions for in-person and virtual events. The objective of the campaign was to increase brand awareness and generate leads. The key contributors to the campaign success. So we used a full funnel strategy across Google, including video ads on YouTube. We switched from a conversion objective on LinkedIn to on-platform lead gen. So this meant the users didn't actually have to leave LinkedIn to go and book a demo. And then we used the top performing custom intent audiences across the YouTube campaigns, and this helped generate higher quality leads. So in terms of the results, we generated over 500,000 impressions. This resulted in over 35,000 clicks to the website, which then led to 18 leads. So just some platforms to consider now when it comes to adding paid digital to your strategy. First of all, Google. So search, it's high intent, like we said, it's when users are actively researching rather than us pushing ads out to users. We show ads to users when they're looking for it. Display, so like we said earlier as well, this is low cost awareness, lower cost than traditional media, but at the same time, the targeting can be highly relevant. And then YouTube, this is your most informative ad type. This is where you really communicate what your brand does to users, and it's a very engaging ad format. Then LinkedIn, we can do detailed demographic targeting. So at the moment, lots of social platforms are moving away from detailed targeting options. This is just because users are being far more cautious about their privacy, along with big updates like iOS 14. However, LinkedIn is different. Users still provide lots of information about themselves in a professional context, so it's great for B2B targeting. And then we've got engaging ad formats for increased brand recognition. So there's a lot of options to choose from on LinkedIn. However, the most engaging is always going to be video. It's perfect for putting out that memorable, informative brand message. And lastly, another platform to consider would be Bing. So similar to Google, although there's lower competition for keywords, which means your cost can also be lower here. But also there's LinkedIn profile targeting, where we can combine search with the information that users have in their LinkedIn profile. And this was just because LinkedIn was acquired by Bing. And then lastly would just be to touch on the power of Gen AI ads. So recently we've introduced our latest innovation, which is Gen AI ads. This is a new creative service that allows you to use AI generated images for your creative that stand out from your competitors and target your to capture and excite your audience. So some of our clients already have been testing Gen AI ad creative, and they've seen up to an 18% reduction in CPA. So the cost to convert users is roughly 18% lower. Again, this won't be for everyone, but if you're curious and ready to innovate and experiment, this, along with the case study, will be shared in the follow-up to this webinar. And then if you have any questions after this webinar, just please send them directly to david@tagdigital.co.uk. So see if we get any questions. So how much budget would you recommend to run paid ads for an event tech campaign? So we would like we said earlier, it's all about giving your campaigns enough budget to actually achieve results. So just as a minimum, we would recommend a minimum of 5,000 per month, but we'd also recommend a minimum run time of between 3 to 6 months. And then how soon would you start seeing results? So again, at the start, it's all about targeting quite broad. So the results, the conversions might not come in straight away. If your objective is brand awareness, then you would start seeing results straight away, just with the campaign types we would run. When it comes to actually converting users, we would recommend, there's no real end date on that, or it's just basically, we would say around 2 weeks is kind of roughly when the campaigns get to the learning stage. Obviously, once we've refined our targeting as well. So it can take a couple of weeks to see results, but the end goal is actually to just get to a stage where the results are coming in quite consistently. And then why do you think the CPCs are much higher for event tech campaigns? I mean, I'm not really sure in relation to what every industry is obviously different. If we think about the event campaigns you run. They're quite different to event tech in that a lot of those campaigns are like free registration, so converting a user for free is a lot easier. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's any way to kind of, it depends really what you're comparing it to. But yeah, like I said, if you do have any other questions, just send them to david@tagdigital.co.uk.